Hello. This is the lecture video for the typography hierarchy assignment that I have just published on Canvas. This is going to be working a part one of the assignment. You're going to be working with a block of text to create hierarchy using different fonts, colors, line spacing, indentions or indents. To create again hierarchy so the reader looking at the text can see which is the most important part of the block of text that they're reading or looking at on a printed page. These principles also apply to web design as well, but in this case we're going to be using it for print. Okay, so I have some objectives for this assignment. So demonstrating a solid understanding of fundamental typographic principles, including font selection, type size, and line spacing. Identifying and using common typographic adjustments to create contrast, hierarchy, and enhanced readability and legibility. Establish a clear visual hierarchy within the given content, guiding the viewer's attention through use of different font weights, styles, and sizes. So font weights have to do with being bold or size, and then styles also is bold, italic, that type of thing. And then you're going to identify and emphasize key pieces of information within the text using appropriate typographic techniques, ensuring that the important details stand out. And then you're also going to add and manipulate text using appropriate typographic settings and adjust character settings in a design. So this is all going to be done in InDesign to give you more experience with working with text. This will help with the magazine design assignment, as well as some of the other assignments that we're going to work on this semester. Okay, there's the objectives. And then this just talks a little bit more about typography hierarchy. I've included a website there. The website discusses text on for use on websites. Also, same principles apply to print documents as well. Now it's saying nothing. Okay, I need to fix that. So let me go back. I will fix that after I record the video. But when you watch this video, it'll be fixed. So I need to go back and fix that. Okay, so it just talks a little bit about choosing appropriate typefaces, optimal font size for legibility, and depending on what your final project is or final product is, the size of the font may change depending on that. So if you're just doing a business card, you don't usually need a bigger font on there, but if you're using a poster or even creating a billboard, the font size would have to be larger. Contrast in font sizes, to have a clear distinction between hierarchy levels, you should have a different font size for each area. So heading should always be bigger than your body text. But you don't want your body text to be larger than your heading, because then it'll confuse the reader when they're looking at it, what's the most important part of that. Leading or line spacing, that is, the space between the lines of text. Some fonts will make it look like the lines of text are really close together, so you may have to adjust the leading on some things. But think of this always from your standpoint. How, when you're reading something, are you straining to see something? Whether it's the font choice or the font size or the space between the lines of text. Column width and margins. that applies to anything, websites as well as print documents. If you have not enough space or resting space around your designs and your text, it may be a little bit harder to read. So you want to make sure that there's some blank space, white space, resting area around your design. Alignment, consistent alignment for the text. Left aligned is commonly used for body text in print as it's easy to read. Justified alignment also pushes everything from left to right on the page, so there's no jagged alignment on either side. Well, more so on the right-hand side than the left-hand side. But if there's a big gap from the end of one line till you jump to the next, that kind of is jarring to some readers. So you want to think about doing justification on your alignment. Serif fonts, you use those usually for body text. And then sans serif fonts used for usually headings to create contrast. And they're a little bit easier. Sans serif is a little bit easier to read, or it stands out more as far as headlines. But you can also use sans serif fonts for body text as well. You just kind of have to look at it and see what's when you're reading it, or you show it to somebody else, show your design to somebody else. Is it is it easy for them to read, or are they struggling a little bit to read it? Background paper and background color. You want to take that into consideration too when you're printing something, because that may make the font a little bit harder to read. If it's a little bit darker color, so then you would maybe do a reverse on your color or on your text to make it stand out a little bit. And then also for readability too on websites, you want to make sure that there's enough color contrast between your background and your text, so that if you're designing something for somebody that has a visual impairment, that the screen reader can read it to them, and it's not jarring to them when they're listening to the screen reader. Consistent styling. Maintain a consistent styling approach throughout the document. This includes font choices, colors, and overall design elements. You don't want to use like 5 or 6 different fonts. You want to limit it to 2 or 3, depending on what you're designing. Unless it's some kind of like graphic element that you're using text for, you can, use a different font for that, but your headers and your subheads and then your body text should, be within 2 to 3 different fonts. And then test print before finalizing the design. Print a test copy to evaluate how the typography appears on the paper. And this allows you to catch any issues related to ink absorption, contrast, or legibility. So the ink absorption, if you think about an inkjet printer versus a laser printer, inkjet printer, the ink kind of sinks into the paper, as opposed to a laser, it kind of just sits on top. So think of a magazine layout versus a newspaper, the paper that newspapers are printed on. There's a lot more ink absorption on the newsprint versus a glossy page in a magazine. And then by paying attention to these print-specific considerations, you can create a typographic hierarchy that not only looks appealing on screen, but also translate well to the physical medium of print. So you will have, some differences between print and what you see on the screen. And again, like I said, that goes back to readability for screen readers. Those are for those people that are visually impaired. It can, the screen reader can differentiate between the different lines of text. If there's no distinction between header and body text, then it may not pick it up as well. Okay, so that's just a little bit about typography hierarchy, and this link will be fixed when you view the video. Okay, so the first part of this assignment is you're just using headlines or headers, subheads, and a couple blocks of paragraphs of text. So you're going to create 3 different examples. So you're going to select different fonts for each example. So a different font for your headline, a different font for your subhead, and then a different font for your body text. And you can see here in the examples on, there's 2 versions on each of those examples. So here I have it where I just used, left the text black. And then on the second one, I added some color just to kind of differentiate between, where the paragraphs, where the subheads are, and then added a little bit more styling on different areas of it as well. And I'll show you this in InDesign so you can see a little bit better. Okay, so again, I've used 3 different fonts here. So I have a different font for my headline, a different one for my subhead, and then a different one for my body text. And in this here, you can see the lines back here. This is just the baseline grid. I was playing around with something to see how that would look, but when it prints, these lines, these guidelines don't show up on when you're printed. Okay, so this is what the document would look like when it would be printed. Okay, so again, I did one version just using black and white or black text. And then the second one, I added a little bit of color just to kind of give you a little differentiation between the headline, the subheads, and then the block of text. And then I also indented the paragraphs to kind of give you, okay, so this subhead here, and then it begins the paragraph. On the other examples here, this one here, I left the text to the left, no indent, but I added a return between the subhead and the block of text. So it kind of gives your eye a resting place before you jump to the text. So that's another thing that you can experiment with this assignment. And then you can see over here on this one, the third example, I did not add any space between the headline or the subhead and the body text. I just did an indentation. So again, this is something that you're going to experiment with when you're working on this assignment, to see what looks best for your eye. And then, like I said, maybe print it out and kind of look at it that way, because screen versus printing it actually on the paper is going to look a little different. Okay, so let me go back over here to Canvas. Okay, so for this assignment, you're going to use InDesign. You're going to create a 8.5 by 11 document with 3 pages. Margins are going to be 1/4 of an inch all the way around. I've provided you with 3 different blocks of text. So it's 3 different subject matters with the text. So you're going to select one of the 3 blocks of text and organize the content into 3 levels: main headings, subheadings, and body text. So like this here. So you have the headline, the subhead, and then the body text. So you're going to create 3 versions, each with 3 different typefaces that complement each other. So you're going to pick a font for each level of the hierarchy. So a font for the headline. So a serif font for headlines or headings, a sans serif font for the subheads, and then a readable font for the body text. So the body text could be a sans serif or serif font. It's up to you. And if you look at my examples, I have a sans serif font here on this example, and then I have a serif font over here. So again, this is just you playing with text to see how things look together with different font styles and font weights and alignments. Okay, so heading fonts should be bold and attention grabbing. It should set the tone for the overall design. Subheads complement the heading font but are slightly less bold. It can convey importance but not overshadow the main heading. And then body text should be legible and easy to read. Goal is clarity and readability. So you want to, again, usually body text is not any bigger than 12 point. And you can see on my example, I used 12 point for my body text, but as I scroll through here, you can see that even so it's 12 point text or 12, the size is 12 point, they look a little bit different. And that has to do with each of the fonts that I was using. So on some 12 point may look like it's small, and some may look like it, some 12 point fonts may look bigger, but I wouldn't do anything smaller than 12 point on your body text. Again, because the smaller it gets, the harder it may be to read it. If you think of like legal text on documents, on loan documents and that kind of thing, that text is usually really small. And that's something that's not usually as important. It is important, but it's a lot of text, so they have to make it smaller. Okay. Okay, so that talks about typeface selection, creating the headings. So start with the most important ones. And then that again should be significantly larger than a body text. You have to kind of experiment with different sizes to see what's going to work. And again, the same concept with the body text. Depending on what font you use, 19 or 20 points in one font may look different than 20 point in another one. So you want to just kind of experiment with that. Then the subheads should be a little bit smaller, slightly smaller than the headings. But again, that has, you know, different fonts have different sizes to them. Even so you're selecting a 12 point font, it may look different depending on the font that you're using. And then body text, keep the font size smaller than the subheads to maintain the hierarchy. And again, that should be, you know, at least 12 points with that. Use variations in font style, color, or size to emphasize key points within the document or within the body text. So on this one here, this first example, I highlighted the name of the company and I made it bold italic. And then this one down here on this, the color one example, I changed the color to blue so it stands out a little bit more. And then I bolded this line here. So this could kind of be like their tagline or for that company. So I wanted it to stand out a little bit more. And then on the color version down here, I didn't change the color, but you could change the color to kind of, you know, complement the creative hub. You know, this could be red, blue, whatever color you wanted to use. So just to kind of make certain things stand out within the body text, you can, change the color, the not the alignment, but the style of the font. So if it's bold italic or something like that, kind of just experiment with it till you get it to how you want it. And then pay attention to alignment and spacing of your text elements. So on all of these blocks or all these pages, I did do justification, or I justified my text, but you can see on some of them, the spacing with the words is a little bit off. There's a little bit more spacing, say on this paragraph, than this one here. So there's a little bit more white space or negative space between some of the lines or some of the words. And then down here again on this one, these examples, you can see that they're a little, each paragraph is a little bit different as far as spacing between the words. When I use the justified example or the justified option. Review and adjust. So again, maybe print it out, kind of look at it, show it to somebody else and have them, see if they can read it. If it's, grabbing their attention, one option versus the other. And then if you need to make some adjustments or other spacing or other elements to ensure a clear and effective hierarchy. And then you're going to save and export the file, save your InDesign file, export it as a print quality PDF. And then I want you to submit the InDesign as well as the PDF file to the document or to the assignment page. Okay. So this is the first part of the typography hierarchy. You will have a second part that will work with some of the same elements, but it's going to be some different text. And then you're going to add in some, maybe some graphic elements to help create some hierarchy and differentiation between the text and some of the other items on the page. Okay, so if you have any questions about this assignment, just go ahead and email me. I'm also going to include a PDF version of this example here, so you can look at it a little bit bigger than what these images here. Okay, so again, if you have any questions, go ahead and give me, email me, and then I'll get back to you. And then we also have our next meeting on the 29th, I believe. Not the 29th, that Friday. Let me see. Yeah, we have our meeting, the next meeting on the 29th. So if you have any questions between now and then, just go ahead and email me and I will get back to you on that. And then we should have, and then you can, at that point, you can show me anything, what you've done so far with it. Okay. Alrighty. And I will record a video for the second part of the assignment as well.